Welcome to Walking Together, a podcast all about encouraging each other as we follow Jesus together. I'm your host, Dennis Lavelle. Let's start walking. You know, one of the most unique miracles that Jesus does is found in Mark 8. He heals a blind man. Now, Jesus had healed many blind people before, but this one was different. Well, really, they were all different. If you read the four Gospels carefully and slowly, there seems to be no one method that Jesus used for the miracles he performed. Sometimes he laid hands on the sick, sometimes not. Sometimes he prayed for the sick, sometimes not. Sometimes he touched the sick, sometimes not. Sometimes he healed from a distance, sometimes not. Sometimes he asked for faith, either from the sick person or from the relatives or friends, and sometimes not. Sometimes he asked the sick person to take a step of faith, like take up your bed and walk, and sometimes not. So Jesus' healings aren't like a factory conveyor belt where everything comes out the same. Every person receives a customized divine healing. And this was certainly the case for this blind man at Bethsaida, because Jesus spits on his eyes. And his friends bring him to Jesus, because obviously he can't see, and he only has the testimony of others that this is indeed Jesus, the Son of God, who can heal him. So Jesus leads him out of the city, away from the crowd, and then he spits in his eyes. Now, I don't know what this man was thinking at that particular moment, but I guarantee he was not expecting that. After Jesus spits in the blind man's eyes, he lays hands on him and asks, "Do you see anything?" Now, that seems like a strange question at first. Didn't Jesus know if the healing worked? Well, of course he did. And one thing to remember is that when Jesus asks questions, it was always for the benefit of the person he was talking to. And Jesus knew the answers already, but the questions were posed so that the person would get to the truth in their own mind. When God asked Adam, "Where are you?" He obviously knew where Adam was. He was physically in the garden. And the question was for Adam's benefit, so he could reason out where he was spiritually in his relationship with God. So back to our story. So Jesus asks, "Do you see anything?" And the blind man's answer is actually yes and no. He does see something, but what he sees isn't clear. No vision has now become poor vision. He says, "I see men, and I see them as trees, walking." And his vision is anything but clear and sharp. I see forms that move, but I can't really make out who or what they are. Now, what's Jesus going to do now? Is this guy going to have to get some prescription glasses for half sight, half blind? I mean, has Jesus done only a half a job? Does this man go home with only half a miracle? No, absolutely not. So then Jesus lays his hands on him again, and this time he saw everything clearly and his vision was restored. So why did Jesus do this miracle in two stages? Well, I believe it gives us the three ways the world looks at Jesus. Number one, there are people who are completely spiritually blind. They can't see anything, and they have no desire to see the Lord. 2 Corinthians 4:4 says that people's eyes are blinded by the god of this world, Satan, so they don't want to come to the truth. Then there are those who are half spiritually blind. And these are the people who have heard the gospel, but who haven't accepted Jesus' offer of salvation and forgiveness of sins. But you know, sometimes half spiritually blind people are those who call themselves followers of Jesus. And they've allowed their lives to shift from living for him to it's all about me. And Paul writes to Timothy about this, and he says, "Watch out, because there will be people who only have a form of godliness, and their lives are characterized by the words lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boastful, proud, abusive, disobedient to parents, ungrateful, unholy, without love, unforgiving, slanderous, no self-control. You can read the complete list in 2 Timothy 3. But this last group are those whose eyes have been spiritually opened. They clearly see as God sees. You know, we sing the song Amazing Grace, and we can even rattle off the first verse without a problem. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. And then don't miss this. 'Twas blind, but now I see. So listen, Jesus doesn't do a half job, but sometimes he forces us to take a look at where we are in our relationship with him. Are we as honest as this blind man? Do we know? Do we realize our spiritual condition? Is your walk with him a little fuzzy? Do you see as he sees? Could our focus and goal be sharper and clearer? And if we're honest, we could all say yes to that. So ask the Lord for clear vision today. Love others as he loved them. Forgive them as he forgave. Let's see the world and the people around us clearly, the way he sees them. Well, thank you for joining me today. I hope this has been an encouragement to you. Share it with a friend. Write a review about the Walking Together podcast on your favorite podcast platform, and that'll help others find it. Thanks so much for joining me today. We'll see you next time.